Hey, everybody. We are live, and I'm with somebody brand new to the channel. And if you have not subscribed, please click that link in the description and subscribe to my friend Nathan Jones. Nathan, how are we doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm freshly minted and freshly bald. If anyone who is familiar with me, this is a new look. So here we are.
Very new look. You're gonna have to change around all the lighting in your room now.
I know. Well, I actually have been thinking about the lighting a lot. Actually, I was like, you know what? This is like I look way too pale. I'm actually a lot more tan in real life. It's just like one of those bright lights in my room. So here we are.
All that Springfield sun on you, huh?
It's been a lot of rain, as you're probably feeling up there too.
I think through all of this, you are the closest collaborator that I know of, and then not to mention that I've actually done something with. And what is it, like a 2.5 hour drive total?
2.5 hour. Yeah, it's not too long.
Not too long at all. And man, the weather over the last month has been
Just nuts.
wild.
It's like every other day. It's like, oh, it's starting to become summer. Nope, it's spring again. Rain, tornadoes, rain.
I think last week or the week before we had like 3.5 days straight of raining. It literally never stopped. And then one of the weeks we had a low of like 34 degrees, and then 2 days later it was 94 here. Like, no thanks.
Yep, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's Missouri for you. So
it was a fake summer, and now it's our very short spring, but it looks like we're about to warm up again next week.
Yeah, but here we go. And now I'm going to have sunscreen, so I know about this life. So.
Welcome to the party, Skull. Yeah, we got some friends in. We got Sardis. What's going on? Mike, my sister's here. What's going on? Flickering Waves. Hey. Sulaco88 and Jeff K. Michael Howard. Glad you're live tonight. For those that don't know, Nathan, what is your YouTube channel all about?
So my name's Nathan Jones, and that's my channel as well. And I mostly talk about physical media, and for the most part, I do a few different things on my channel when it comes to the community in general. I actually run a film journey series, which you'll be a part of soon, where I interview fellow content creators and people in the community and about just their film journey from the beginning of their life with the medium and where they're at now. And it's a lot of fun, and I've been doing that for about a year or two. And then I do Blu-ray haul videos, unboxing. Usually I collect a lot before I do that because I don't like to just do it every week. Right. I have time to watch movies so I can actually talk about the movies. And then also I do challenges, which have been more or less a way to try to tackle my collection of unwatched films, which I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this right now also have a shit ton of movies that they haven't seen on their show.
Too many.
Yeah, so that's what I do on my channel.
And the latest one is watching a movie that starts with every letter of the alphabet. What do you want now?
I finished it actually.
Nice.
Yeah, the last one was Zola, the A24 film that came out last year. Because I couldn't find a Z film. I was like, oh, okay, I got to find something. Right. But yeah, more or less what I do is I found 26 random films in my collection that I hadn't seen before, and I put them in alphabetical order of title. And I went from A. Actually, I started off with a number this year. So I started off with Robert Altman's Three Women. And so then I went from there, and then I went from A to Z. And so I'll be putting that video out on Sunday. So
nice. What did you think of Zola? It's on my stack of hopefully to watch soon.
I enjoyed it. It reminded me a lot like Sean Baker's Tangerine mixed in with Ingrid Goes West. But I like both of those films a little bit more than Zola. So, nice. Yeah.
What do you think of Sean Baker overall? I've been really hyped on him lately after watching Red Rocket.
So I haven't seen Red Rocket yet, but I have seen Tangerine and Florida Project, and I love both of those films, even though it's very stress-inducing, right? I think his films are very particular, right? But I remember watching Florida Project a few years ago and getting mad that that movie didn't get awards. So,
right.
But, yeah, I'm excited to see Red Rocket, but I've heard good things about it, so.
Yeah, I think you'll be pleased. It is, I think, his best filmed movie. It is such a a unique critique on small town America that you and I have seen a lot of around here, and it really captures things in a unique Sean Baker way, and it's really hard to explain to people that haven't really dived deep into what he can create, because he's got an eye. No matter how you look at it, like there is a house that is the focal point of the of Red Rocket, and you can tell it's just literally somebody's house that he went and filmed in, because otherwise it's too perfect. There's no way a set designer could have done that.
Yeah, he captures reality. I mean, he's got such a unique. I mean, when you see his films, it's him, because he somehow can capture it. And I'm really looking forward to that film. But eventually I'll get it, and I have a big pile of things I haven't seen right here. So
don't we all? Well, speaking of that, you want to talk about some recent pickups?
Yeah, sure. I'll just briefly cover a few. I know that I'm sure some people were able to see that Best Buy had a recent sale, but also so did Amazon on some 4Ks, and I finally picked them up because they were cheap. I finally got Suicide Squad,
nice.
A studio right there. No Time to Die, I finally picked up. Really love that one in theaters. Really late on this, Black Widow.
It's a good one.
Yeah. And then Juice, which I've never seen before. Very excited about this one.
Growing up in California, that was essentially required viewing. So,
yeah, I just need to listen to more Tupac and also watch him in Juice, right? So, and then one more thing, I got studio wise, I got Studio 666.
I need to get that.
It's local. You can at the Entertainment Vintage Stock where I live. So I was able to get this. So this looks like a lot of fun. So very excited about that one. And then I'll just quickly go through this. I got Dreadnought from Eureka.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump into the Arrow Shawscope set. That's my next venture, I think, once June hits, because I want to start watching some kung fu flicks because it's the summer. So Dreadnought's going to be on that list too. Then real quick, I'll do some Kinos because I just got in the mail. Finally got these two bad boys on 4K. And then I also got In the Heat of the Night, which I love.
I just got that one in as well.
So very excited about these, and I don't mind double dipping on this one, at least with the Criterion as well.
Well, and that's got the bonus films on it as well. That's a really nice package.
Exactly. Which I have the organization also from Kino, but I don't have, they call me Mr. Tibbs. So very excited about that. And I also picked up Life Force this week.
Wow, nice.
That almost, before.
It doesn't seem like a Nathan film, but I think you'll actually like it. It's pretty out there.
I'm excited for some more schlock. I think that's going to be a little bit of a theme.
Speaking of Scream Factory, I'll show real quick. I got in Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You in 4K. My patrons haven't gotten their video on pickups yet, but those, I genuinely like both of those. Have you seen either of those ones?
I've seen Happy Death Day, and it's fun.
So I picture these as essentially the same as Aliens or like Terminator 2, where the first one is more horror focused and the second one's more sci-fi action-y. And they're both good, but for the people that went into that sequel expecting another like comedic horror film, everybody hated it. And if you just go in not expecting that, it's a great movie. It's so well done and a really unique follow-up.
I know I just recently had signed off on some slashers because I watched a lot of folk horror earlier this year. Jump into that.
Wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why it's that right here. I can't point. There I am. I can't wear them right here. Anyway, so I was watching that and watching some slashers, and I kind of just deviated. But now I kind of want to go back and getting Studio 666 and this Vinegar Syndrome sales like slashers coming back. Yes, maybe I should watch it. Yeah.
That's a nice way to dig back in. And Nerd of the 80s says he's never seen Life Force, just like you. And I will warn, it is great, and it is like nonstop nudity. There's somebody that's nude for almost the entire film, and it's fantastic. Sardis says, I saw Life Force in the theater and enjoyed it. And everybody's ready to talk about Vinegar Syndrome. But first, we got regular announcements to talk about. So how about we go through some of those? Last Friday, we got our first announcements of the week, and they were from Imprint, and I happen to see that nice, beautiful Wicker Man over your shoulder there. Is that the only thing? Well, you're reaching for something else. I
just recently picked up Days of Heaven.
Nice.
I didn't have the Criterion, but yes, I I have some Imprint films.
What has been your favorite Imprint release so far?
So far, so I haven't actually not jumped into the Zhang Yimou box set, which is right over there next to the Halloween 3 mask. But I'm very much looking forward to that. But actually, over across the bay, which I don't have in front of me, I really love the Hammer House of Horror box set. Like that is a very fun box set. And I actually watched it all, but I didn't record anything about it, so I need to do that again and refresh my thoughts on it all.
Nice. Yeah, it's a really well put together box set. Imprint has done a lot, and for me, the most impressive thing is how many had never been on disc before. There's a lot of brand new releases that have never been anywhere in the world, which is a big deal. And they seem to be the brand that really put like the crowbar into Paramount and got them to really get to the grind of releasing some of these things. And now we're seeing some of the fruits of that labor in the US. So hopefully that just keeps coming.
Yeah, I just wish it would go down $5. If it went down $5 for a single release, I would be happy. But do they have? By the way, you might know this, but do they actually have sales any time of the year?
Imprint Direct does not, but like every other month, you can get them on sale from JB Hi-Fi in Australia. They are usually 20% off, and their prices are about the same as Imprint directly. The whole problem, of course, is that shipping is like 40, I think it's 45 Australian dollars, which comes out to like 22-ish US. And when the prices are advertised on their site, I can't remember how much a single release is, but it comes out to about $25 US, which is manageable, but really only makes sense when you're buying like 7 at once. Otherwise, the shipping just makes it cost prohibitive.
Right. And I know locally here in Missouri, we're able to have. I know in the States you can pick them up at a retail store for about $30. Just depends on if you're that's around, because I know around here I can pick up a few. But it's definitely like $30 for just one movie. Like I have to like think about it. So,
right.
But,
and Orbit gets them in, and they put them out at about $30 as well. So if there's something that's out there, Orbit sells out of them pretty quick. There's a lot of people that are going to Orbit to get every single one of these Imprint titles. The day they post them, they're pretty much gone. So
that's actually where I just picked this up, because I actually, well, I have another thing. I got the 1984 from BFI.
Ooh, yeah.
And this, and then the Dreadnought, yeah. So that was like a Orbit DVD. It's like, these are all not from here. So
right.
I go there. Yep.
Well, let's get into Imprint proper then. First thing we got coming, announced last week. These are all August announcements for Imprint, and they are putting out a limited box called The World of Susie Wong. And this is all starring Nancy Kwan, and it's William Holden and Nancy Kwan star in this soul-searching look at an East meets West romance. He's a struggling American artist who's down on his luck. She's a beautiful Chinese prostitute who captures his heart. The scenery is as spectacular as the colorful and exotic streets of Hong Kong, and this wonderfully warm story about the strength of true love. But then this also has, this is a limited 2-disc hardbox edition with unique artwork on the first 1,000 copies. And this has with it Hollywood Chinese, Arthur Dong's feature documentary on the Chinese influence on Hollywood, which is the main reason that I read this and immediately went, I desperately have to have this.
Yeah, I mean, I love William Holden. He's in so many classic films. Yeah, this looks fantastic. Box sets usually, we were talking about individual titles being like $30. Like that's usually the whole thing that holds me back. But box sets are my bane, and I'm sure there are a lot of people's bane. But this looks up my alley as well.
Like that Wicker Man box, I don't know where everybody bought it from, but it seemed to run anywhere between $80 to $100 depending on where you bought it. And for one film, that's a lot, I gotta admit.
Yeah, it definitely. I was like, I don't need to do this, but my folk horror love, I'm like, I have to do this. But that's very few and far between. It's definitely not worth $90.
That is a good point. Next one up is Golden Boy. This is from 1939. And speaking of William Holden, we had another William Holden venture here. And this one has Barbara Stanwyck. And I don't know much about this one. Have you seen this one?
I haven't, but I love Barbara Stanwyck, and obviously I already said William Holden, and so this looks great. What year? 1939. So
yeah, this is an old one.
Great years. So I mean, not for the world, but for movies.
Touche. Next one up is Betty Davis in Storm Center. This is from 56, directed and co-scripted by Daniel Teradash. This reflection on the rights and responsibilities of citizens was a timely response to anti-communist sentiment in the 1950s. A small-town librarian stands up to local pressure to remove a controversial book from the shelves on principle, not out of sympathy for its perspective. This is a very timely release.
Yeah, it sure is. Red Scare still prevalent today in some instances. So that's just kind of crazy that it's coming out, because I know they probably think about the scheduling of when these things come out as well. But I mean, when they can send them out. But what an aptly timed thing here.
Yeah, and this has a new audio commentary with professor and film scholar Jason A. Ney. And I'm willing to bet that there is some mentions of that still happening in the U.S. on that commentary. And then this also has a feature documentary narrated by John Huston from 1976 called Hollywood on Trial, which sounds like it's about the Red Scare. And I got to get this release.
Yeah, I'm a big history buff. That was actually my major in college before I switched over to communication. So I'm all about always seeing documentaries, especially on a lot of Cold War-esque things like that. So yeah, it looks good.
I am a big fan of all of the making of documentaries. The Spookies release from Vinegar Syndrome is one of my favorites, not because I love the movie, which it's really not a great movie, but I do love the release. But the fact that they've got 2 feature-length documentaries on it, it was an immediate must-buy.
Well, I might have to add that to my list.
And the best thing, one of them's a making of Spookies. The other one is a history of the what is the company called, Vipco from the UK, which is another company that put out all kinds of stuff over there. That was basically their big VHS company out there.
It's also interesting to see that John Huston did that. So
yeah,
that's a big name. So,
and yeah, did he direct that?
Yeah, he narrated it.
Okay,
which is
narrated that. Yeah, still, direct. Okay, yeah, the feature was directed by Daniel Teradash. That's what I was confusing. Jeff says, did Huston direct that film? Not Storm Center, but he narrated the documentary. And Sardis is asking, is this the first Blu-ray release of Storm Center? I think so. In fact, it should say on there. Let me see.
We said the worldwide announcement, probably.
Maybe not. You know what's odd is they Imprint got popular, and then this wave of releases, most of them are only 1,000 copies on the limited case, which is odd because for other things they did 2,000 for quite a long time. Yeah, Storm Center has never had a Blu-ray release anywhere else in the world. This is the first one.
I kind of wonder if they might be doing something similar to what Indicator did, where they split their releases. Because I know that in Indicator, they would have a limited run of maybe 2,000, but 1,000 of that might be over in the States as well. So
right,
they might be doing something like that, but I don't know.
Haven't had an announcement yet. I wouldn't mind Imprint coming to the U.S., that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Secret of the Incas. I believe this is another one that, let's see, does it say? Yes. I think this is the first release on Blue anywhere in the world on this, but I'm not seeing any notes on that. But it could have been me not pasting the proper information over here. This is with Charlton Heston, Robert Young, Nicole Morey, and this is from 1954. What do you think of Heston?
I love him as an actor. So, but yes, this looks super fun because I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, of course, and Planet of the Apes I grew up with, so I've known Heston for a long time, not personally, even though we go way back to high school, you know. So,
of course, this one has a new audio commentary by film historian Philippa Berry, and then the cool thing, new interview with Chris, I'm assuming, Paggiali on the influence of Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I'm real curious on that one. And they don't have a time frame listed of how long that is, but I'm real curious to see how much they got them to talk about that. And this was shot on location at Machu Picchu in Peru. The film is often credited as the sole inspiration for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I'm sold.
Just with that line, yeah.
I'm sold.
Next up, I Am the Law. Excuse me. I apologize. I don't think
Good timing. I Am the Law.
I don't think I've sneezed on camera ever. I Am the Law from 1938. This is with Edward G. Robinson and Barbara O'Neill. First Blu-ray release worldwide. It is a month of brand new debuts for them. This is a great month for historical things. New audio commentary with professor and film scholar Jason A. Ney again. And this is Law Professor Robinson is named special prosecutor assigned to put an end to gangster activity in the city. Civic leader Beale, who got Robinson his job, is involved in the rackets and wants to control Robinson's investigation. Everyone Robinson's office persuades to testify turns up dead. And that's the end of the synopsis. I love that. Everyone turns up dead. Cool.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to see the movie, do we?
Yeah, that's the climax. That's the final 3 minutes. But this is the big release from them for this month. Box sets being the bane of everybody's existence. Essential Film Noir Collection number 3. God, when was the last one? It's been a while since Volume 2.
About 7 or 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one includes The Strange Love of Martha Ivers from 1946, No Man of Her Own from 1950, The Turning Point from 52, and The Desperate Hours from 55. And once again, this box is limited to only 1,000 copies. How do you feel about film noir?
I love it. I actually, you can't see them off camera, but I have those indicator box sets over there. But I have not, unfortunately, bit the bullet on the Imprint film noir releases yet. You have them, do you?
I do. I have only watched in the second one. I think I watched one film. I'm leagues behind on all of these that I really need to watch. Damn kids.
Yeah, damn kids. All of you, all you watching. I also have some of the Kino Lorber film noir, which they've been picking up on. They're like, it's like, we just had a few, like here, I think 4 or 5, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna have 10 of them just immediately.
Yep. And they've announced that there will be at least 12, and they think there might be more than that even.
Yeah, so I don't know how many double dips. I need to keep track because film noirs are B movies mostly. So
right.
I need to, because obviously some of them could run together. So I need to make sure. But I love the genre. So
good film noir, I really love. The thing that really gets to me is film noir. There's a history of literally taking the same script and changing like a couple details and recasting it and putting it out again. And I can't stand that. I mean, sometimes it doesn't really bother me, but for the most part, it's just a waste.
Yeah, well, sometimes I'm glad that we have the code, right, to change that up.
That's true, and that's why I like the Blu-ray.com app for everybody that's always wondered about that. You can, John, he says, like Marvel movies. It's not the same thing.
Yeah. Different.
On the Blu-ray.com app, if you store your collection in there, you can search for a single title, and even if it's in a box set, it will tell you that you already have that title somewhere else. So it helps quite a lot. I am working on a video right now on the Blu-ray.com app just to get everybody that has been looking for something to catalog their titles, and that should be coming out in the next few weeks. Next one up, I believe this is the last one. This is On the Beach, coming from Imprint Films. This is from 1959, and it's got a really good cast. I mean, we got Gregory Peck, Ava Gardner, Fred Astaire, and Anthony Perkins. I mean,
wow.
That's, all A-listers. I adore Anthony Perkins. I think he was underappreciated as an actor completely. And then obviously, I mean, Gregory Peck and Fred Astaire are kind of top of their field.
I mean, anytime Gregory Peck, I grew up watching Moby Dick back in the 50s, Moby Dick, and anytime, I mean, I'm trying to do that myself, get a little bit of a little grizzle there.
Captain Ahab going on.
Well, I don't want to become Captain Ahab. Anyone's read Moby Dick or seen the movies, you don't want to. Love this cast, and this looks like another thing that I'll probably pick up.
Yeah, this is a good-looking release. Limited 2-disc hardbox edition with unique artwork, photo booklet, and featuring Lawrence Johnston's feature documentary called Fallout as well. And for Fallout, does it say anything on here? It does not. This also has new audio commentaries, new discovered outtakes, new video essay with Kat Ellinger, new interview with Kim Newman, two of my favorite contributors right there.
Fantastic people. Yeah.
And then just a whole bunch of other stuff on here. Fallout, Lawrence Johnson's 2013 feature documentary on the novel and Hollywood movie On the Beach. So it's just a documentary about the film. That's great. And there's a new interview with the director. Lots of good stuff on these.
The director from 59? Man.
No, he's the director from the 2013 documentary.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I was gonna. That's connected. Like, man, they got
that would have been impressive.
That would have been very impressive.
Although it's not quite 59, but I was immediately thought of Arrow's release of Django, and they've got a brand new interview with Franco Nero, and I think that was in 2018. So that was 52 years after the release of the film. That's pretty damn impressive.
It's a good interview too. I mean, yeah. So, and that's
the fact that he remembered stories like word for word how it happened is marvelous.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I was wrong. I forgot about this one. We got the Scarlet Hour coming from Imprint as well. This is an unhappy wife uses her powers of manipulation to draw an infatuated man into an ill-fated jewelry heist. This is instead of just first Blu-ray release or disc release, this is the first physical media release worldwide.
Jeez. Well,
that is impressive.
Crazy. Yeah. That's just, well, it's weird to think that because there's so many movies we don't even know about that this one slipped past, I guess there was just a lot in the 50s. So
that's very, very true. And we're at, God, what are we at? 66 years since this first released? That is a long time to wait.
I'm almost there, so.
New audio commentary by Noir expert and Film Noir Foundation board member Alan K. Rode, which, I'm sure he's got a lot of really neat things to say about this, especially because it's got to be the first time anybody's really talked about it in depth.
Yeah, and it's directed by michaelxcreates, so it's strange to think this is the first time it's been released.
Right, exactly. And John says that's why physical media matters, and I wholeheartedly agree. That's why I've got the sign in my room here that says that it's my museum and library. You got to archive it or it's going to be gone. What's going on, Marvin? Glad you're here. And then I think, yes, that is it for Imprint. And I'm going to get your take on these. Arrow announced that they are finally going to be recognizing that there's an error with the Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, and they are going to have a replacement program. There is a link that they included that you can go find information and submit that you need that. How do you feel about all the replacement discs recently?
It's unfortunate. I'm lucky enough to where I'm not one of those people who pre-orders too often. Right. So I've actually been following most of the other channels or people who review copies and wait to hear their verdict before I purchase these things. And so I've luckily only, I think, dealt with the Citizen Kane replacement disc. That's actually the only replacement. So I've been very, very lucky in that front. But it's unfortunate. There definitely this seems to be a reoccurring pattern, unfortunately. And I mean, I know that Scream Factory just had something happen too with the craft. Yep. So I think there needs to be a little bit more checks, or at least people like us, not necessarily me, because I do not have that critical eye, but people who would spend the time and look at different aspects of it. And I don't know. That would be, I think, a solution that I would look at, but it's unfortunate.
And that is a level-headed response. The other thing I would say is that this has to be playing. Obviously, inflation is happening everywhere, but this has to be playing a small part in rising cost across the entire hobby. Because if you're replacing 2,000 discs of a limited edition that sold out on pre-order, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of double shipping. That's a lot of sending out something where you can't charge the customer because it's your fault. That is a lot to just suddenly eat. And then not to mention manufacturing the discs. That's not super cheap. So it's rough for the companies. It's rough for us to a point. I do think that a lot of people that are outspoken about replacement programs, they really kind of got to chill out, because people act like it's the end of the world. And there's even, this is going to be ridiculous for people that have not seen this. There is a Facebook group dedicated to suing Arrow Video because of a couple. I think it started with the Donnie Darko replacement disc.
Yeah.
People literally thinking that they have the right to sue Arrow Video because they had to get a replacement disc, and it makes no sense.
Yeah. Here's the thing: like we're incredibly lucky to be in this hobby, and I think we're very privileged to have extra money to spend on this hobby. So I think at the end of the day, we're just happy that these things are released, and if there's mess ups, hopefully, we can try to resolve them. But I think, like you were saying, like it's just too cost effective. Like if we're going to keep doing that, we're just, they have these deadlines happening, because I know like Kino Lorber, for instance, is just like shipping out a lot of 4Ks because they probably just have a limited amount of time before they run out of that license. And so, but it's all about a balance, and we just got to be thankful for these releases, but at the same time, chill out a little bit too, because here's the thing: most of us probably won't see that problem, and if it's something that's minor, like I'll take it. I'll be fine with that. That's just me.
Trauma even says the replacement disc for Friday the 13th. If I never read anything, I wouldn't have known for those films that they needed one, and that's true for a lot of these. And like what is it? I think it was 12 Monkeys from Arrow has a scene that was repeated, and everybody was like, "Are they going to fix it?" I mean, it's not that big of a thing. It's something that, it blipped like an extra 12 seconds or something. It's nothing that's hurting your life.
Terry Gilliam, come on, guys.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on. Speaking of Kino, they're putting out #1 with a bullet, and this has Robert Carradine, Billy D. Williams, and Peter Graves. Have you seen this one?
I haven't, but it looks fun as hell.
It really does. This is one I am probably going to be pre-ordering. There's no release date on this one yet, but we are getting a new master, thankfully. But the bigger exciting thing for me, because I love this Forsaken movie, we are getting Tropic Thunder in 4K from Kino. This is the first film from their new Paramount deal, and we don't have a date yet, but tentatively they are saying that they are going to get this out by August, which is crazy. The fact that Kino, like with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, they announced that like last February, and it's just now getting released this year. So for them to turn around and do this quickly, it is fantastic. That goes exactly with what you were just saying about pumping out those 4Ks because of licensing. But if they started a deal with Paramount that has 75 titles and they're already getting them out by August, the future is bright for Kino.
I kind of wonder too is if a lot of these Paramount titles have already been remastered on 4K, and that might have cut some of the time. Yeah. So
a lot of behind the scenes things that people don't realize with these labels is they approach the studio and they just literally say, "What do you have available? Can we see a list?" And the list they get shows when it was restored. And if something was restored recently or it was restored in 4K, that's really easy to do. I mean, easy is a relative word, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier to do a restoration, or to not do a restoration, but to do like color grading and an HDR pass over a 4K restoration and get that out as soon as possible. So Tropic Thunder, I genuinely think is one of the best comedies of all time. It is amazing. It has an incredible cast, and highly suggest, if you have not seen Tropic Thunder, to pick this up and just look for Tom Cruise, because he is one of the best parts of that film.
And wait for the when they do the press circuit, when they all come out and do this again, they're going to be like, it's coming out on 4K. It's like, get the band back together. Let's put on what Robert Downey Jr. Let's bring him back, and see what happens.
Let's see if they got any new special features. That'd be fantastic.
That would be fantastic. Yeah.
OCN Distribution is the company that distributes all of the Vinegar Syndrome titles and all the partner label titles. If you are prepping for the sale tonight and you think that's enough, reminder that next Friday, June 3rd, OCN will have 13 brand new titles getting announced that you can get in the month of June, which is just wild. We are going to talk about partner labels and Vinegar Syndrome stuff after this, obviously, so we will pass on this for now. Next one up is Chuck Norris and Lee Van Cleef in the Octagon. This is coming on August 2nd from Kino. Are you a Chuck Norris guy?
So I've only seen a few of the things he's been in. Obviously, the Bruce Lee. Why can't I think of that film? Why? Help me out here. What's?
I am not going to be able to help because I can't stand Chuck Norris.
I see. But I did like him in that because he was barely in it. But Way of the Dragon, right? Everyone?
That sounds right.
Somebody tell me in the comment section.
So Lee Van Cleef I like a lot. With Chuck Norris being the main headlining pull here, I'm not sure about this one. If anybody says that it's amazing, I might check it out. But yeah, I've never really loved Chuck Norris, and then on top of that, can't agree with him about a person. John says it's Return of the Dragon.
Okay, yeah. It's the. I was very close.
So. Sardis is asking me a question. Have I found anything new about Maywoo's initial release? No, but I got to email you tonight on that because I got a message today about it, and there's kind of new information. You'll find out. Next one coming up is Eureka had something leak, so they had to announce that they were putting out the Police Story trilogy on 4K. This is Eureka's first 4K release, and it's a big one. A lot of people were kind of unhappy because Eureka had previously released part 1 and 2 of the Police Story, and then of course it's been released part 1 and 2 here by Criterion. Jackie Chan, you a big Jackie Chan guy?
I have that right there. So yeah, I grew up with Rush Hour, of course, and subsequently went back to the Police Story, his Hong Kong films. So yeah, I think he's a fun actor, and I like his early stuff a lot. So yeah.
This is the first great release of Police Story 3. And for those that are upset that they're releasing Police Story 1 and 2 again, they are also releasing Police Story 3 Super Cop by itself. And for those that really loved Everything Everywhere All at Once, Michelle Yeoh plays a big part in this film. And I think this is one that is going to make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
Chan around this time was top Chan, basically. This was the pinnacle, I think, personally, for what he was doing. This release is going to be great, and if you're 4K capable or if you don't mind double dipping, highly suggest that box set to support Eureka and show that 4K is the way to go. You're all in on 4K, right? Is there anything holding you back on 4K? Anything you're unhappy with?
Like I was saying earlier, just obviously checking before I buy. Right. A lot of the things. I do want to kind of pre-order this. I mean, obviously Eureka, this is their freshest, so I don't really know how much their track record is yet, of course. But I am a little bit. I haven't pre-ordered it yet because I have that Criterion Police Story 1 and 2. But I definitely have been eyeing it and thinking about it because I do want 3. And I might just get that single release. But it definitely looks fantastic. I would love to see what people think about it. But I know the FOMO is going to be real, and it's probably going to sell out very quickly.
It will, and this has it is 4,000 copies, so it's not a tiny release, but it is a little pricey. I mean, it's a 4K box set, so you can expect 4K prices for 3 films, one of which that's never had a boutique release. Like Diabolic has this available for $75, which that's to fair. Me, for 3 Chan titles, that's really good, especially when it comes. I mean, look at everything it's coming with. It's got a 100-page collector's booklet. It's got all kinds of new commentaries and archival featurettes on everything. And again, Super Cop had never had a good release, so it's all kinds of new things that they had to invest money in.
Yeah, I'll probably buy it now. Everyone, watch me do it now.
Oh, man. Okay, so another Kino, because they release like 7 things a week, so they have to announce something basically every day. On August 2nd, they're putting out Catch the Heat. This stars David Dukes, Tiana Alexander, and Rod Steiger. A one-man strike force heats up the war on drugs, and they've got some decent art on this. The original art is a little basic, but I like this new art. It looks really good.
Yeah, I like Steiger a lot, so this looks like a nice... is it 80? You said 80s film right here?
Yeah, this one is from 87.
Yeah, well, that's my favorite year film, so I got to add to it.
Why is 87 your favorite year?
Well, Princess Bride and Predator are two of my favorite movies of all time. But also, I mean, heck, we got Adventures in Babysitting, Evil Dead 2. Now I'm on the spot, and of course I'm going to camp out all my list. But there's the Untouchables, The Last Emperor. I'm digging for some of it, but there's so many films from '87 that I'm not even thinking about off the top of my head right now that I just adore, and it's just one of the craziest. Oh yeah, Lethal Weapon, and then also Monster Squad. So big Shane Black here, of course. Predator.
Monster Squad was going to be my big one if you didn't mention it, so I'm glad you did. I love Monster Squad.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Wolfman's got nards, you know. So,
Of course.
yeah, the '87s is great. So, got to add to it.
If I remember right, I think the last release of the Monster Squad was Olive.
Yeah,
And I think that's out of print now. So I would love to see a 4K for the 35-year anniversary this year, and maybe include that Wolfman's Got Nards documentary that they just released. There you go. Yeah, that's the one.
There's the Olive film one right there. Yep, I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get a 4K disc and then put in that documentary and a Blu-ray disc with it. That'd be sweet, because I think that the documentary came out on a BDR, so it'd be nice. Let's see. This is our last one. We've already talked about Chuck Norris. Now, unfortunately, this is Good Guys Wear Black from 1978, and this one has a decent cast, of course, but from what I hear, this has one of the best stunts in history, supposedly. So I am already super intrigued about this one, which I shouldn't be.
Might be in the eyes. That might be the stunt. Yeah.
So yeah, that is the one, supposedly. And here is the original art, which actually isn't bad. It's very 1978. And for this one, we've got, let's see, Dana Andrews, Jim Backus, and featuring the first screen appearance by Norris's brother, Aaron Norris, who also played in Lone Wolf McQuade. Chuck Norris, from Ted Post, the acclaimed director of Hang 'em High, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Magnum Force, Go Tell the Spartans, and Night Kill, comes the explosive martial arts classic Good Guys Wear Black. In the role that launched him into stardom, the legendary Chuck Norris is John T. Booker, an ex-Vietnam commando whose war actions have landed him at the top of the CIA's hit list. Dang it, I think I just sold myself on this damn movie.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Ted Post too, because I really like Hang 'em High, and Beneath the Planet of the Apes is actually one of my favorite of the sequels. I know it's campy as hell, but I adore it. So,
a few years ago I got rid of every Chuck Norris film I had just because I couldn't stand him, but this one might be talking me into it.
Well, at least you got to add those shades with it, you know. As you're watching.
That'd be nice for Kino to send out a pair of aviators with every sale.
I would start doing the William Castle bit with everything. Throw all the gimmicks that you can get your way.
All right. After the announcements, we always share what is coming out next week, and this is what we got. We got Lawrence of Arabia coming out on. Wait, is June 7th next week, or did I skip a week?
Is June 7th? No.
It can't be. Is there one more week in May?
I think it is. No, there's one more week in the 3rd. Or the
31st.
31st. Yep.
Got it.
Got to get them Clint Eastwood releases that I just showed.
Yep. All right. Clint Eastwood, Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, both in 4K. The Criterion Double Indemnity. I can't speak. Double Indemnity 4K is finally getting released. The Untouchables 4K. That's a big one. Have you seen that one?
Oh, yeah. Great. Another 87 film. Yeah.
Of course, all of the Vinegar Syndrome titles that are coming out tonight are technically releasing next week, but you'll get them when you get them. 1776 4K is coming out. Let's see. This is a whole lot of Vinegar Syndrome and partner labels. Chan is Missing from Criterion.
Double Indemnity is going to be the big one, I think.
It is. That's one I got to get as soon as that July sale hits. Double Dragon, the complete series from Discotech. I will remind everybody, Strawberry Mansion, this is coming from Music Box Selects, which is a partner label for Vinegar Syndrome. However, it is not getting released on the Vinegar Syndrome site for some reason. Like, it's not getting a slipcover release. It is still going through OCN, but if you are into that film, you're going to have to buy it without, because it's not going to be one that they advertise, which is odd.
Releasing Eye of the Needle, which is nice. I have that on Twilight Time, so
nice. I think, is this Kino that's putting this out? No, Sandpiper Pictures. I don't have anything from them yet.
I don't either.
Yeti, Giant of the 20th Century, is getting its release. I think that's Code Red. And then Zebraman 2. I think this is... who's doing that one? That is Media Blasters.
That's a great cover.
Really is. And yeah, that's about it. But speaking of other music, you got that in. Did you watch that yet?
I have. Yes, I have it right here, actually. Speaking of partner labels, I'm a big music fan. I used to work at a record store, so Other Music is the New York old record store that existed there, and I've never been to, unfortunately. But yeah, this is a phenomenal documentary, and brought me back. So all those analog years of plugging in a record and listening to some CDs. So great documentary if you're a fan of physical media, but also of record stores and that time period. So highly recommend this one. It's very heartfelt. So
was that Factory 25 that put that out, I think?
Yes, Factory 25.
So they are still pretty new. Marvin is asking, do I know if Other Music was low stock? I kept the list. Let me check on that.
I think a couple hundred were left the time I got this. But
Other Music on Monday, when they shut the when they shut the site down, had 253 slips left in stock.
Sounds about right. Yep.
And keep in mind, that one is not going to be on sale, but because it's 253 left, a lot of people are probably going to be picking it up.
And I highly recommend it, so that should also sell you.
It does mean a lot. I will hard sell right now my Patreon. If you sub to my Patreon at the mid tier or the high tier, you get access to the Discord. I have stock updates. So if I find something that's out of print online somewhere, or something like the Vinegar Syndrome sale, I put all the numbers in there for everybody. We might go over those a little bit tonight as we're talking about some of the titles, but I guess the big topic now is probably going to be Vinegar Syndrome. So what is your history of Vinegar Syndrome? Because you're still pretty new to Vinegar Syndrome, is that right?
Yeah, I've known about them, of course, for a few years now, and luckily through a lot of channels like such as yourself and Aaron Penn and Brian Sowers, Just the Discs, and yeah, all those guys have kind of given me information about the different types of films on here and different recommendations just based on personalities, because I know it's it's Vinegar Syndrome to the average person who is watching the movie. It can be a little bit of a hard sell. Just depends on what you like, right? And I've only recently actually started liking more B movies and schlocky films like that and things along those lines. And I know not every Vinegar Syndrome title is that, of course. I don't want to put an umbrella there. So, but I've only been, getting a few titles here and there every year, which is, unlike a lot of people who are going to be participating in this sale, which I'll get a few titles. So, but I have a few that I have in my collection that I really like. So I have them right here.
Which were the first one or two or three that you picked up?
The first three that I actually picked up. Well, four actually. I'll say I got the first Jolly box set that I have not seen yet, but I had the Forgotten Jolly box set, which I'm very excited about because I still have some Giallo and some Jolly films that I want to watch. But I've heard fun things about that set and that series in general. I know the first and second series are out of print now.
You can still buy the films. It doesn't come in the hard box.
Right. So those films, but I also have Sudden Fury right here, the Canadian, Exploitation film. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
there's a lot of really great scenes in this movie, but I had a really good time with this 1975 film. Another great year, 1975.
That's very true.
And then I have Incubus right here, which might be my favorite thing that I have from Vinegar Syndrome. probably. I wish I had the limited edition, but this is good. But of course,
Cassavetes.
Cassavetes was the big sell for me, just as an actor. But great film too. I love the creature design in this as well. This is a good movie. This is a lot of fun. So
it is a very well made movie, and
Yeah.
that came during the time that I think was I've kind of divided Vinegar Syndrome up into like two different eras, and I think that was their peak on that first era. I think that they had a couple really solid months, and Incubus and Blood Harvest, those came out around then, and I don't know, they just seem to be firing on all cylinders.
It's that was definitely a self to me. Like I was like I've heard enough about that film that I definitely wanted to pick that one up in particular. And then the last one I have here is The Fade to Black, of course. I got this slip. I know it's not in print anymore. I don't think, at least the slip covers, right?
I'm not sure. If it is, it's very close to leaving.
Yeah, because this is the normal, I think, slip,
Ooh,
right?
There is some left, but there is 132 of them.
Okay, so yes.
So if somebody has not picked that up and you really want that slip, that might be one of the first ones you go for tonight.
This film is a miracle that it was released on a boutique label because of all the copyright.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I really enjoy this movie, of course, as somebody who enjoys all the film references in it and all of the tomfoolery. That's my teacher voice coming up. But yes, really enjoy this movie. But yeah, those are so like I said, I'm still pretty new to Vinegar Syndrome in general, but I have a few things that I have in mind that I want to pick up, some crazy ones. So
you've got other music. Are there any other partner labels that you have titles from yet?
I don't yet. I would actually love to know some recommendations actually for those things that are similar to that and other partner labels. That would be great.
In terms of documentaries, which I know you like because we talked about that before we went live, there are a surprisingly large number of documentaries that have come out through some of these partner labels. Recent one that I watched for the second time was Scream Queen, which came out from Enjoy the Ride Records. That is the story of Mark Patton from A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and everything he went through when that movie was released. And it is a really poignant and important documentary, I think, to get that story across. The big other one I would say is check out the label Utopia. We've got Martha, A Picture Story, and I think they did one others. But Martha, A Picture Story is a really solid story about a lady that found some graffiti and took some really nice pictures of it. And the artist that did some of the graffiti blew up. They got like super famous, and she's this amazing photographer that really captured the essence of it and had like no fame come from it. She was a professional photographer and was overlooked for quite some time, but the documentary is solid. And it's one of those that I really love documentaries where you can find someone out there doing their passion, something that they loved, that they were happy, that doesn't hurt anybody, but I knew nothing about it. So just being able to like empathize with that and see, man, this person just gave it their all, did everything they could to, contribute something back. And it is a perfect story for like something like that.
Well, so going back to other music, that was actually a thing that stood out in that documentary. Was there was a comment about the communal aspect, of course, going to a record store and the invaluableness of going to a record store employee who's very knowledgeable about a specific genre or about recommendations or whatever, and the history of these things. And the thing is that passion is like that was a lot of the people in the documentary talking about. It's like going into there could be very overwhelming because it'd be like a little bit like my first day at school is like, I don't know if I can talk to this person who might be a little bit snobbish, right? And, have that picture in your head. But at the same time, it's like you're drawn to those people who are really in love with the passion that they do, and they're knowledgeable. I mean, that's what we're doing here. We're trying to procure as much knowledge about films and television shows and the medium itself. And hopefully people are watching and can be like, oh, that person knows about this thing. It's like, I wonder what they would recommend. And I love that aspect. And that's why I love working at a record store anyway, in the first place. So,
Speaking of documentaries, the other one I was thinking of for Utopia was For Mad Men Only, which is about the comedy scene, specifically about the improv comedy scene, and it's about somebody that has influenced the names that you see in this documentary are ridiculous. It's like everybody that you've laughed at for the last 40 years of your life. It's insane. The guy's name that it is about is what is his name? Del Close. And the people they have in this, we've got Matt Walsh, Bob Odenkirk, Patton Oswalt, Lauren Lapkus, Tim Meadows, Jason Mantzoukas, Jason Sudeikis, Paul Scheer, Michaela Watkins. So many names. That was the other Utopia. Flickering says, was Bloody Nose Empty Pockets the other Utopia? I don't really view that as a documentary. It was kind of like a slice of life film, like how things were affected from one night, basically. Marvin asks, does the subscriber discount work during the sale for titles that aren't on sale? I assume you're talking about partner label titles, and if you already were a subscriber for all of 22, then it will work for titles that came out in 2022 that are not on sale. If you become a subscriber tonight, your discount on those does not start until the next month. So that wouldn't work, but I'm not sure if you're a subscriber at the moment there, Marvin. As for other documentaries, let's see, do I have it close? I actually think I do. Let me see. I just had like 19 titles fall.
I'm very cautious about the big piles I have in front of over there, and like I don't want them to fall.
If you have not seen this, I highly suggest Mail Order Murder, the story of Wave Productions. This is about the shot on video Wave Productions company. And if you don't know anything about Wave, essentially it is about a guy that owned a company in New Jersey that allowed people to write in with an idea for a film, and he would make the film for them. So it is some weird stuff. And they did not hold back. I think literally I just had about 12 titles fall, and there's one that's on the ground now. Oh well. So yeah, Mail Order Murder. They show like horror conventions in the early 90s where people would make one movie for Wave and then suddenly go to a convention and be viewed as like a scream queen. So it is a really interesting period of time. And I really think that a lot of people that haven't seen it would enjoy it, even if you don't like shot on video movies, just because it's such an interesting look at how they were made, why they were made, the fact that so many people think they're awful. And it's just that, again, that passion that you just grab onto from somebody that was doing something they loved.
Yeah. It sounds, it's a documentary, right? So
yep.
It sounds like, I whatever it is, like that's the thing is like I know we're talking about Vinegar Syndrome, but so I'll go on a little sports talk for a second. But like watching ESPN 30 for 30s for me, like it's like I'm not huge into a lot of the sports that they're talking about, but those documentaries are just like I immediately am sold into the world as like I don't know anything about NASCAR and I really don't want to, but you know this documentary sounds pretty good. So surprisingly.
I shared, I don't know if you've seen it, that old release that ESPN put out that looked like a ticket.
Yes, I have some friends who have it.
I've got it, and I talked about it on this channel before because it is, I'm not huge into sports, but I could literally sit and watch that entire set every day of my life.
It's incredible. I mean, like I have behind me the Last Dance, which really got me back into sport, like basketball in general. But yeah, 30 for 30 is like more. I want all the physical releases. Season 3 and 4 and 5 need to be. They stopped, and now they're owned by Disney. So never's going to happen. So
unfortunately, that is true. Although I will say it is a really welcome sight to see that Beatles documentary that was put out on Disney Plus is getting a physical release, and that is the first time that's happened. So there's maybe a tiny bit of hope. We'll see. I love The Last Dance, and then I don't know if you've seen it, but that Malice at the Palace documentary.
Oh my God, I have. Yeah, of course.
It was so good.
I'm a Pacers fan, so of course I have. I've seen
I back in the day, I was a huge basketball fan. I grew up in Southern California, so I worshiped Shaq and Kobe. And I was awake the night that actually happened. I watched it live, and it changed my entire weekend because it was so wild. Like we had plans that night, and then we missed the plans because we were staring at this incredible thing we've never seen happen. Yeah. Sardis asked what partner label was Mail Order Murder. That was Saturn's Core Audio and Video. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
You're good. Just these nice sports little. That is such a bizarre. That bottle being thrown at the crowd and that whole brawl, and that you don't see. It's weird how that documentary is incredible. So yeah, I would recommend it if anyone's just a basketball fan or just curious about fights in general. Very ECW style. Yeah. If you're interested in that, go on Netflix. Right, it's the Netflix sports. What's it called? What's their series even called? I don't remember what it is. Mouse at the Palace. Just remember that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Not to mention the amount of things, because I was fairly young when that actually happened. So I don't know if I just didn't pay attention or if genuinely just a lot of information has come out over the time. Obviously, there was so much in there that I'd never heard about happening. And it was such a wake-up call. I loved it.
Well, I mean, it took them, 15, 20 years to talk about it?
Yeah. I think that was
2003
3 or 4.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been almost 20 years. And so this is, some of them even mentioned, like, this is the first and only time I'll talk about it. So I'm like, wow, that's just insane. So time's passed. You can talk about this crazy fight that actually did shape a lot of stuff, because there was a lot of news stuff talking about thug culture and a lot of race related things. And so,
ended careers.
Yeah, it's really sad. But I guess it's good entertainment now, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. So thus ends our sports corner for the night.
And yes, but jump back in, everyone else.
As for the other partner labels, knowing the kind of stuff you like, I think that you would probably like anything put out by Deaf Crocodile. They released, let me see if I can do this without spilling my water. They released a title that is very similar in style and tone to Dr. Strangelove, and it is The Unknown Man of Shandagore. And I personally did not love the movie, but I also really don't love Dr. Strangelove. It was really curiously, this film was lost for supposedly like 60 years, and they found it and restored it, and it looks like it was just filmed. It looks amazing, and it's like a spy film that's got a lot of comedy into it. And knowing the kind of films that you like, I think that you would really appreciate that film. They also got some wild off the wall animation film that they put out. They are releasing, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but Ilya Muromets, which is a fantasy film from Serbia or Russia. And it has sold like gangbusters. It just came out this month. They put out, I think, 1,000 or 2,000 of them, and it's already almost sold out. As of Monday, when the site went down, there were 274 left. And the big thing is they put out a trailer for this film, and they said that they had almost 100,000 extras in this film. 100,000 extras. It is wild. It's a fantasy film. It's got a dragon that looks believably real, and it's from like 1956. It is amazing looking.
I'm in already. So, and especially, I mean, like those numbers you just mentioned, I was like, what is this? An FW Murnau or DW Griffith production or something.
Marvin asked, Nathan, do you have any Fun City titles?
I do not, but I will hopefully pick up something soon.
That's the other one that I would say. They're probably the most consistent partner label so far.
I've known about them for a bit.
Jonathan Hertzberg is the person behind that label, and I've got an interview up with him on the channel. The titles they've put out are fantastic. Really, really well acted. The most popular one, I would think so far, is probably this one, and that is Walking the Edge. And it's got some names that you might recognize in there. Let me pull out the other. Yeah. I forgot how to switch this over, I guess. Here's the inside art that I think is a little better. This got Robert Forster and Nancy Kwan and Joe Spinell. So it is a really interesting release. Rancho Deluxe is another one. Oh, there you go. Marvin just announced it as well. Rancho Deluxe is the one that's getting a lot more love. People are finally getting around to watching it. They just put out the Coca-Cola Kid.
I like that name.
Yeah,
My older name in high school, so it rings a bell.
Alphabet City put out by them was their first title, really good. I Start Counting, Jeremy Smile, so many different things. That label is going to make some big waves for sure.
All right, I got them all down. I love it. Spending all the money in the world I don't have. But thanks, everyone.
Well, that's a good question. This sale is this weekend. Is there any certain things that you're focusing on?
Yeah. So, I mean, besides those that actually are fresh, and I'll have to look over them, of course. But there was a few that I had coming into it that have been referenced in to things that I could watch. Ticks being one of them.
Nice.
That sounds like a fun creature feature. Dead Heat, I really want to see that one. I do really want to get because that looks like a fun time and up my alley. So that one looks good. It's on 4K, right?
It is on 4K, and it looks better than it ever has, and probably better than it really needs to.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And that Tix is in 4K as well.
Oh man, 2 4Ks. Well, I can't stop. Then I have New York Ninja that I kind of want to see. Don't know anything about it. I just know it's about a ninja in New York. So,
well, the big thing for those that don't know, and I happen to have it right next to me. New York Ninja was a film that was never finished. This was made back in the 80s, and somebody discovered the tape and the film Vinegar Syndrome. They found it. They got the rights to what they could use. And then they found that the film had no sound. So they had to go in and record everything for it. And this release is their first release under the VSP line, Vinegar Syndrome Pictures. And it is about current films that were shot on film. And they dive deep into telling you how they made it, how they were able to discover everything. They got like Michael Berryman. They've got all kinds of names that are doing the voices in these. And it's dubbed, obviously, but it's like done in a way. What's that?
Is it not like Kung Pao?
No, it is done earnestly.
I know
it is not meant to be. Well, it's kind of done like Kung Pao, I guess.
But not. I know what you're saying. Earnestly,
yeah,
with intent. They had intent there,
right? They looked for this as a project to not try to be funny with it, because if you did, you could tell. It's rare that something comes out like Kung Pao and is actually hilarious.
Yeah, well, that came out right at the right time for my age. So that is in my top 100 films of all time. If that says anything about that's number 100. So
you're not the only one, and I think you and I are very close in age, so that would make a lot of sense. Yeah, New York Ninja is what I would say is turning out to be Vinegar Syndrome's one and only must-own title. It really tells the story of what they are as far as archiving, saving films, and doing what they can to capture the essence of the intent.
Well, I'm glad I have it down, because that made it even better. Because I mean, that's the thing, is like we were just talking about documentaries and talking about the whole process of what we said earlier. Saying that's why we do this whole physical media thing.
Right.
And then the last movie that I'm sure a lot of people have seen that I haven't, but I know it's notorious, but Night Beast. I was told.
Yeah, Night Beast is magical, I will say the least. It is, Night Beast is wild. It is an old Trauma title, Trauma distributed title, but it's good. It's not that bad. A lot of people look at it with disdain, but I think it's genuinely well created, and it's got a lot of at least interesting ideas behind it.
I mean, I want a good mix of serious documentaries, and I also want Night Beast. So,
that's a well-rounded cinephile right there.
Yeah, try my best.
So, Vinegar Syndrome as a whole, I would say, I mentioned the whole. It feels like there's two different eras of Vinegar Syndrome, and I don't know if we're coming to the end of an era, the second era, or if we're just expanding on the second era. But to me, it feels like we've entered into this new wave of not really schlocky things that Vinegar Syndrome was known for, but really, really big titles. I mean, we're getting, Universal titles. We're getting Drop Dead Fred. We're getting Death Wish 2. I mean, that's a huge title. I am curious, what was your overall impression of Vinegar Syndrome before you had anything from them, and how do you feel about this new turn?
Well, as you could kind of tell with my lack of having too many Vinegar Syndrome titles, it wasn't really necessarily my thing. A lot of the B films and schlocky films are really not necessarily what I always gravitated towards. I obviously you can see behind me. I mean, I do have some Hammer films, which are
Yeah.
some some B movies, but I have Criterion was a big is a big thing in my life, and so is a few other like Arrow and Scream Factory and stuff. And Scream Factory, those can have some titles that are along those lines. But
Yeah.
I was never really into horror until not too long ago, and since that time, though, I've definitely opened up more and more. And so, yeah, I was gonna say initially, not really necessarily. Something I would get excited about when everyone else was, because I'm like, oh, well, I never have ever heard of this movie, which most people who are
Right.
following Vinegar Syndrome probably also are like, yeah, I haven't heard of that. Or maybe they saw it back in the day. I don't know. But I wouldn't blindly buy a $30, like possibly like a B movie that I might not like.
Right.
So, and that's kind of where my mindset was. But yeah, now that I have had friends who know, the films themselves, and people who, like everyone who's watching this, who've seen a lot of the titles, like I really like that, appreciate that part of the community where it's like, hey, I don't really know much about this thing, but based on if you can tell how I am or what, you can see what you would recommend, and I can go from there. And yeah, so I'm excited to see their new direction as well. But I do want them to have like a half and half split, right? Like keep that preservation stuff like New York Ninja, right? Like bring those things that are like, never seen, never heard from before, or whatever. But also, get those titles that are big names, and like, bring more attention. And the partner labels are also a great thing too. I love that aspect of it, is just having a lot of that collaboration. So long-winded answer.
No, it makes perfect sense. And that whole new wave of popular titles, a big thing that people are upset about are re-releases. So we found out that they are putting out the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 in 4K. And obviously that's a title that's been put out a few times before. How do you feel about those re-releases?
Well, I'm actually very lucky because I've never owned them before. So, I mean, like Arrow's a really great example of a label that has been putting out a lot of their titles recently that were limited edition Blu-rays. Now they're doing the limited edition 4Ks of it. So, like RoboCop and American Werewolf in London are two examples of 4Ks that I've picked up, but I never had the Arrow editions of those titles. So I'm very happy that that's the case, because here at the end of the day, hey, I mean, you want attention to these companies. So if there are people who are new to it, who are like that, I mean, imagine starting, this entire endeavor fresh and then jumping into this world. That's so overwhelming.
Right.
Like that is so much. So you got to start off, a little bit where like there's accessibility is a big thing. And for me, that's the one thing that I think about a lot. It's like, I feel like I'm very lucky to have extra money to do this, but it's very selfish, like for me, but I can talk to obviously people around it, but how will I utilize what I have eventually? Right. So I want as much access as possible for as many people as possible. So I'm not mad about it. I'm one of the few people who is like, you know what, if they re-release titles, people who are losing money on stuff, if they're trying to sell it or something, I'm sorry. But, for me, I want more people to see the films. So,
right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you weren't into horror for a long time. Is there any like certain titles that got you into horror finally, or was it just a mindset change?
Partially a mindset change, because I've always loved, like, John Carpenter's The Thing is my favorite horror film, and a lot of people's favorite horror film, because it's perfect. But I've always liked horror. I know I grew up really scared of horror because I watched like Jeepers Creepers and trying to think what's the Tooth Fairy movie? Darkness Falls. Do you remember that one?
Oh gosh,
Darkness Falls.
Okay, yeah, I don't think I've seen Darkness Falls since it came out on home video ages ago.
Yeah, so like obviously when I was a kid, this stuff really scared me. So I'd watch this stuff. It's like, yeah, this isn't really my thing. I would rather watch Jurassic Park, which is scary too for a kid, but also dinosaurs. So
Right.
I'm not too scared of that. So, but yeah, eventually it switched mind. I started watching John Carpenter's work. I started watching, recent things like Robert Eggers and Ari Aster. And then I'm like, you know what? I need to go back and watch the classics. So, like, obviously, I'd seen Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, but I hadn't seen the sequels and stuff. So now I'm just having a good time watching, like, even if they're schlocky, like I got all the Halloween 1 through 5 on Scream Factory, and I had a good time, even though I know 4 and 5 are not good at all. But yeah, and 3's, everyone loves 3 now, and I have that, so I'm happy. So horror is a big genre for a lot of different people. You can watch The Witch, you can watch Halloween 4. So
that's very different ends of that spectrum, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that mindset too, because there's a lot of people that do get intimidated, and it just shows that no matter your age, no matter the stage that you're at, no matter your collection, which doesn't have to be large, you can easily jump into some of these and just find some favorites. You can jump in and discover something that you've heard people talk about for 25 years and realize, oh, this may actually be my thing, even though I put it off for so long. And a lot of these aren't great. I will admit, Halloween 4 and 5, they're fun to watch, but they're not great movies. They're not ever going to be in the Criterion Collection or anything. It's not something that they would have been proud to release. And see, and then you got things like this. Trauma says they mentioned The Thing. I have like 8 or 9 versions of that film.
Yeah, I have about 4 or 5. So.
I think I'm probably right around 8 as well. It's ridiculous, but there are certain movies that just hit home. And with Vinegar Syndrome, there are a lot of those that people saw when they were younger, and then there was no chance to see them again for decades. So some of these, like you're getting new into film, I would strongly suggest something like Christmas Evil. It is a film that is a really well-made, really grindhouse feeling horror film, but it is genuinely good, and one that is so well made and just sort of like dirty in a really great way.
Is it kind of like Black Christmas?
No,
no, not at all.
It is a Santa Claus that kills people.
Okay, so like a Jack Frost more. I'm not going to compare things because I've never seen him. So that's
no, it's not like Jack Frost. Even though Vinegar Syndrome also put out Jack Frost, it is quite a bit different.
I remember those VHS days of Jack Frost. I do remember, because obviously the Michael Keaton Jack Frost also came out around this time. So I remember accidentally almost getting the wrong one, and my parents were like, no, not that one. This.
Speaking of Vinegar Syndrome, here's Brad Henderson from Vinegar Syndrome saying, "Hey peeps, thanks for doing the show and promoting us at Vinegar Syndrome. As always, Brad, we will always do this, and we thank you for all the hard work." About Christmas Evil, John says it's Taxi Driver-ish, and that's one of the reasons I would suggest it, because it does have that grimy feel that when you're watching it, it kind of feels sleazy to watch, but it is very good. It's one of those ones that I think will be a sleeper hit for Nathan.
Okay. 1982, so 1980 as well, not 2. So
yeah. Yes. Another one, I don't know how much you've gotten into blaxploitation, but one of the things that are getting a little low right now is that Rudy Ray Moore box set. And that was released as their first catalog box set that came out from the Black Friday sale last year. And at the moment, that is at 648 copies. And this is going to be the first time that it's on sale. So I don't think that's going to last the entire sale. Now, there are 4 films in that box set, and a lot of people think that the first Dolomite is the best of the 4. I tend to lean towards P.D. Wheatstraw, but all 4 are genuinely really well-made films.
Well, I'm pretty new to a lot of it. I've seen Coffee and Foxy Brown, so and also Jackie Brown, of course, later on, but an homage to those. But yeah, and I've seen Dolomite Is My Name, so I've seen them, something similar to it, and I enjoyed those, and so this is definitely something that would be up my alley. So yeah, sounds like a lot of fun.
The other one that is similar to that is arguably, and actually I think it is in the Criterion Collection on DVD, Putney Swope. put out by Robert Downey Sr., and that movie is amazing, funny, beautiful black and white, just incredible film.
I almost got it one of the last sales, so that one is good to have it back on my mind.
And that one is also coming out soon from Indicator, by the way.
Oh well, maybe I might have to. Sorry, Nick, you're listening. I am a shill for Indicator. I'm bad about it because it put up something. I'm like, yeah, I gotta get it. So
Indicator.
That's my kryptonite.
They are one of the most consistent labels out there, so I completely get that. Man, I am shocked. Like, there is a lot of PD Wheatstraw love in the comments right now. Usually everybody's all about that original Dolomite film. That's fantastic. Marvin says he's buying the Rudy Ray Moore box tonight. Again, man, get that.
Okay. Okay, guys, I got it. I'll get it. We got to fight over it now, though, because everyone's getting it.
648 left. We can make it work.
We can make it.
King Dingling says, I'm more excited about the partner labels over the VS titles. The cake is the VS, but those partner labels, they're the frosting. The hard part is I'm starting to agree. And the reason is because they're so varied. I believe we are up to 21 different partner labels. And at that point, there's genuinely something for everybody. No matter what style of film you're watching, OCN has something that you're going to enjoy. I guarantee it. I mean, everything from adult films to modern comedies to classic spy comedies. It doesn't get much better than this. Documentaries, Siberian fantasy films, incredible.
Yeah, I like the analogy, but I'm a cake person more than icing. Just got to say that.
I agree as well. Frosting gets too rich for me.
Yeah, it's too much for my poor blood.
Flickering Wave says, I'm a Disco Godfather fan so far. Still have to watch Human Tornado and PD. Interesting. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that Disco Godfather is over Dolomite for them, if those are the only two they've seen. That's interesting. And then Marvin says, Human Tornado. Look at that. Every single one of the box somebody has said is their favorite. That's how you know it's a good box set.
Okay.
Thoughts on Resurrection? Do you know what Resurrection is? Have you heard of that one?
It sounds familiar, but no. Tell me.
So Resurrection was put out by Christopher Lambert, and this was semi-controversial when it was released because it is a Vinegar Syndrome title that was released in 97, I think is the production year. It might be, actually it might be later. It might be 99. And it plays like Fincher's Seven. Very similar to like the Seven Deadly Sins, the way that they kill them. It is no Seven. It's not going to be that as high a quality. But the crazy thing,
nothing in the box.
No box in this film. But the crazy thing is there was a couple crew members that worked in Resurrection and Seven. So some things like started to cross wires, and Resurrection is actually very good. It is genuinely probably one of like the better made films in the Vinegar Syndrome catalog. One that I do suggest, if you've never seen it, you get in there and watch it because it is great. It is I won't even say it's like the meme. It's not like the Wish version of Seven or anything like that, but it is something that is just a couple steps below, which when you're comparing to Fincher, a couple steps below is still pretty damn good.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Nerd of the 80s says it was so good, saw it when he was a teenager and felt it was underrated. I think it's underrated now, even though they just put it out. Dave is getting Forgotten Jolly Volume 4. Nice. Plus Alley Cat or Murder Weapon Deadly Embrace. Here's a list. Shiva Baby, Alley Cat, Candy Snatchers, Ticks, The Mob, Cain and Abel, Talons of the Eagle, Coca-Cola Kid, Born to Win, and Primetime Panic. Shiva Baby, have you seen that one?
No, but I've been told by so many of my friends to pick that one up, so I'm definitely going to get that one. That's 100%
so,
going to
I think this is maybe the best film put out by any partner label. Literally. This movie is it's an awkward comedy, but it's not like laugh out loud comedy. It's more dark humor. And they seem to take music cues from like modern horror films. And because of that, it ramps up the tension to things that you should not be prepared for because it feels like really awkward. And the tension from that, it grows and grows. And when it climaxes, that was a weird way to phrase that. When it finishes, never mind.
No.
The movie is great overall, and the main star, the one that is on the cover of Shiva Baby, she is about to be in that new A24 film, Bodies, 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 with Pete Davidson, and is it Jenna Ortega who's in that one, or someone else, I think. Yeah, she looks really good in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies as well, but she kills it in that film.
Yeah, that's out of all the things we've talked about so far, that was the one that I forgot about, that now I'm going to be like, yes, okay. Now I'm going to spend $200. So
King Dingling wants them to put out End of the Line from 2007 and Pontypool from 2008. Man, I wish anybody would release Pontypool at this point. Have you seen Pontypool before?
I have not.
So Pontypool is a zombie film, but the way that they contract the virus in Pontypool is over radio waves. And so the film is set in a radio station, and they come to attack the radio station. It is a film that's been really hard to see for quite some time, and it looks amazing. I would love to see a good 4K release of that. It's great.
That sounds fun. I mean, it's like something like Assault on Precinct 13 kind of.
Kind of, because when you think about it, Assault on Precinct 13 was kind of like a zombie film. Everybody that was attacking the precinct, they were like faceless ghouls. But it's similar at least. But the crazy thing is they ramp up the tension through that whole film, but there's no real action till the last like 15 minutes, and it's still great.
I'm good for all tension. That tension's my favorite thing.
There's another vote for Shiva Baby. And then Mike says, current top 5 I'm looking for, Buddies. Buddies is, I always praise that film. It is one of the most depressing films I've ever seen, but I love movies that make me feel something, and that movie definitely makes you feel. New York Ninja, Delta Space Mission. That's the animated film from Deaf Crocodile I was talking about. Cain and Abel and Corruption. The Cat Drum. Can I see a list of what's low on slipcover stock? I only ever get them during sales. Don't want to miss anything. Well, the lowest that we have right now is Beauty Day from Circle Collective. I actually have that close. How do I have all of these on hand? It's like I have my entire collection right next to me. I don't know how I'm doing this. Beauty Day from Circle Collective. This is, people are comparing this. Before there was Tom Green, before there were Jackass, there was Ralph Zavadil, I think. A Canadian cable access show, and I believe this is a documentary about him. Yeah, so there's a lot of like silly stunts and stuff like that in that film. That one is the lowest, and that is currently at 49 slips. Altered Innocence Volume 1, which is a bunch of short films and featurettes, stuff like that. That one's at 93. Fade to Black, and I do think that is the one that you showed earlier. I think it's the other cover that's about to be out of print. That one I believe is out of print already. This
one's already out of print. This is like the poster cover. So it's like, I think A. So
that's the highly sought after one. Everybody wanted that one. So the other one has 132 left. Speaking of Brad Henderson, he was in here earlier. He also runs Terrorvision, and Love and Saucers that was just put out from them was 158 left on Monday, so that's getting pretty damn low. Then we have Ham on Rye from Factory 25. That was their first release. That has 187. Music Box selects movie Heavy Trip. That has 195 left. A lot of people love that film. It's really dang funny. And then Fun City Editions. This is the last one that's under 200. Rancho Deluxe has 199 left. 199. John says, I also recommend Death Promise. Have you seen Death Promise yet?
I have not.
Death Promise is wild. It is basically about two guys that live in an apartment building, and they need to make a lot of money. They're about to get evicted, and one of them, the landlord like kills the guy's father, and they have to go avenge him. And he goes to martial arts school to come back to kill the landlord.
I'm getting it,
dude. It is amazing. It's got this really, really abhorrent scene where they put a guy's head in a pillowcase with rats.
Maybe I don't know.
It's not a horror film though. It's all played as like a cheesy martial arts film, and it's got one of the most catchy theme songs that you'll ever hear. It's fantastic.
I do like catchy theme songs.
Flickering Wave says, I almost watched Death Promise again this week. Tried to stay focused on first-time watches. It's so good, so he's trying to rewatch it. Let's see. Miami Connection is also releasing this time. Death Wish 2, Reform School Girls. I still can't believe they got Reform School Girls. That is such a huge title for them. Well, I want to be respectful of Nathan's time. You got anything else you want to talk about before you head out tonight?
No, but I mean, this is phenomenal. I mean, I want to say thanks to everyone for giving recommendations to me and also for other people too. This has been a lot of fun, and I think I might have to accidentally stay up even though I was on 5 hours of sleep just to participate in the sale and make sure I get some of the things I need to get. So, but I'll set an alarm. So. But
I've done that far too many times, and I got to wake up in 7.5 hours for work, and I'm still going to be up for another couple hours.
I also work a 12-hour shift tomorrow, so yeah.
Why do I do this?
Well, we make the money to spend the money. Yeah. So that's what we're doing here.
That's very true. And this is probably dumb to do with 60 people watching live right now, but we are going to call this for now, and in about 20 minutes, we're going to go live again. We're going to take a break for everybody, go get some snacks, because then we're going to be up again for the next 40 minutes going over all of the low stock titles, go live with the sale, and we're going to be talking about everything, all of the brand new announcements, all the merch, all... Master Chaos, aren't you supposed to be on your own stream right now? Bradley keeps hearing mixed things about The Laughing Dead. I would suggest it. It is a kitchen sink film. It's one of those where it has everything in it. Anyways, grab snacks, go to the bathroom. I get to go say goodnight to my wife before she falls asleep and makes fun of me for doing this. Anyways, I appreciate you guys for watching. Nathan, I appreciate you being here. All of you. Again, his link is in the description below. Please go subscribe to Nathan. He does a lot of really great work. And as much as I don't love Criterion, Nathan does love it. And he will be able to recommend you the good ones.
Yes. I hope so. So thank you, everyone, for having me on. So,
Nathan, thank you for your time. Everybody else, I'll see you in about 18 minutes. Please come back. We are going to have some good time. And, we'll see you next Thursday for